call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the vengeance. In my thoughts,
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know if you have a different order of tight ends that you would like to place. Today, we are going to discuss the top 10 tight ends that I think are, in order of each of them, the best for the NFL draft this year. I think this class is loaded, and I think that the tight ends that are coming out, all of them have unique skill sets, and all of them can do different things, different than the other one. And we're going to get right into it. So like I said, hit that like, become one of the family, and subscribe, and comment, and tell me what you think. We can have some dialogue. But starting off, we're going to get into it. Number 10, we have Luke Schoonmaker. And what I'm going to say with Luke Schoonmaker is essentially what you're getting. You're getting a guy that you plug and play. He's not going to wow you with athletics. He's not going to wow you with catching. He's not going to wow you with run after the catch. He's not really going to do anything that awesome. He can run block, and he can block as well. But he's just going to be that kind of old school, comes out into the flat, catches the ball, or runs a seam route, catches the ball and blocks for you most of the time. I think you're going to get him in the later rounds. I think he's going to be one of those rounds 4 to round 6, more in the later, just based on top of all of that. He also has shown, he's a little older, and he's 24 or 25 when the season comes up. And it's just going to be one of those guys that he's older, he's polished, he's going to have everything that he needs to get into the NFL and to be, someone that can see the field. But for the most part, there's not a real upside with Luke Schoonmaker, just based upon everything that we've seen. He's not really 100% great at running routes either. He's just okay at a lot of stuff. More so on the blocking, I think. You're going to be probably getting like a tight end 2 that's going to block for you, that's going to do a lot of the dirty work. But you're not going to be getting a guy that can come in and eventually start. Maybe his highest ceiling would be, a Durham Smythe, where he gets a role. That's kind of who I compare him to, where he just has a role as a blocking tight end that every once in a while catches a pass. Something along those lines. But you're going to be getting a guy that he just basically, you're going to put him on the field, and most of the time he's going to block, and then sometimes he might catch a ball out in the flat. But you're not going to be getting somebody that is going to make you go crazy with what you're going to see. And like I said, he's 24. He's going to be turning 25 when the NFL season starts. It's just going to be tough to see anybody taking him with probably more than the maximum, maybe a 4th round pick. Now, where is it? Number 9, we are going to have Davis Allen from Clemson. And Davis Allen is going to be one of those unique players that he's going to be very similar to Schoonmaker, very similar, whereas that he's not very athletic. He's not good run after the catch. His route running needs work. Blocking is probably his best attribute. But one of the cool things about Davis Allen is that what he is a bigger tight end, and he's going to give you a red zone threat, because a lot of these vertical catches and contested catches, he is actually really good at. He has pretty good hands. That's going to be a pretty big strong suit for him. He's going to make a lot of the contested catches, so you have a pretty decent red zone threat. So he's probably going to go in the later rounds, maybe like a 5th. I'm guessing. I'm really thinking he's going to go in the 5th round, just because, again, when you look at him, he has these great hands and he can make these contested catches, but his athleticism, he is slow, and you see it on film that he is very slow. For a lot of the tight ends that are coming out in this class, he's one of the slower ones to get on the field. And like I said, he's slow when it comes to the college talent, and he's going to be even slower when it comes to NFL talent. So I see this guy as maybe a package. Like I said, almost the same thing as Schoonmaker, where you're going to be getting a guy that is mostly blocking and every once in a while can make a catch. But the upside more so on why Davis Allen for me is ahead of Schoonmaker is just because you can put him in and make that really crazy vertical contested catch. He's a little bigger, and he can do some of those catches that Schoonmaker cannot. And he's going to be a pretty decent red zone threat. You know, a lot of teams, when you have that goal line type of package and you have the multiple tight ends, he can be in that play action and you can throw it up to him and he could come down with it. He has that ability to come down with it. So I think the vertical catch is great, but again, you're not going to be getting like a starting caliber tight end in Davis Allen. He, like I said, the athleticism and all the other things kind of lack. But run blocking, pass blocking, and that vertical stretch out to get that touchdown, you're going to see that. So number 8 is going to be Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange is from Penn State. He's going to be 6'4"-ish, 250-ish. And essentially what you're getting with this guy is you're going to be getting that physical tight end. So he could use some run blocking work, but he's really one of those guys that just wants to hurt people. So when you're looking at this tight end class, I probably think maybe the second most physical guy I think would be Brenton Strange. He just really wants to make someone feel pain when he gets in front of them. He's a willing run blocker and pass blocker. He's pretty decent at it. And like I said, when he gets the ball in his hands, he will take some contact and, run into people. The one thing that I see with him, though, is he's going to be kind of a work in progress. I do see that his route running is, it needs work. His catching needs work. There's been a couple of drops on film as well. But yeah, like I said, you're going to be getting that physical tight end that, you can put on the field. And if he does make the catch, he probably is going to energize the team. But, he needs a lot of work. He's very unpolished. He didn't get a lot of work at Penn State either. He didn't get a lot of work to showcase what he really could do, but there's some drops on film. He rounds out some routes instead of cutting them flat, or he slows down too much. But yeah, for the most part, you're going to be, again, getting that blocking, run blocking guy, very physical, and, run after the catch is pretty decent when it comes to stiff arming and things of that sort. So yeah, good. I can see him again later rounds, 4 to 6. Probably, I would say, probably more like a 4th, maybe fringe 5th. But yeah, physical tight end. That's what you're going to be getting. 6'4", 250. So big guy. And he can do some work when it comes to, running into people. Now, this might be questionable. People might disagree with this, but what I have is number 7 is going to be Sam Laporta. And Sam Laporta is going to be one of those guys really good at route running. He is good after the catch. He's got some moving ability. Just the problem with him and why I have him at 7 is just going to be that size. I'm one of those that believes that when it comes to the tight end position, you need to get a guy that you can disguise stuff with. That's the point of having a tight end, because you don't know if they're blocking. You don't know if they're, doing these certain things. So honestly, when you have packages and you have a tight end that cannot block, it's hard to disguise what they're doing when they're in the game, because when you have a guy like this, 6'3", 240-ish or 250 maybe, smaller guy, you're going to know that they're passing the ball often than not, just based on if he is in the run game or in the blocking game at all. He's going to be a liability because he's so small. He's willing and he can do it. Maybe with some coaching he can get better at run blocking, but I'm just looking at the size here. The athleticism is great, and you can have him as a gadget tight end, which could be pretty good. He could be a guy that could be a gadget tight end that comes in and his route running is probably one of the better ones in this class, and his catching as well. And his run after the catch ability is probably one of the best in this class also. But like I said, I have him at 7 just based on the pure fact that he's smaller. And this day and age, even linebackers and all these guys, they are getting so big that when you have a smaller tight end, it's going to be just really difficult for him to be able to block anybody at the second level or the first level. And you get a defensive end on him, it's basically night for him. He's not going to be able to block anybody like that. So like I said, you're going to be getting that pass catching tight end. If that's what you want, gadget player, he can really come in and just catch the ball, run it down the field, which is great. But like I said, you're not going to be able to disguise anything with him because he's not going to be a really good blocker. He's going to be more of that pass catching type of player. Now, number 6 is probably the one that's the most intriguing out of all the tight ends this year, and it's going to be, for me, Zach Kuntz is number 6. Just based on the pure fact is that, there's so much hype around what he can do and the type of tight end that he can turn into, because he is 6'7", 255. He ran some of the best numbers that we've ever seen at the combine for the tight end position. So it's cool to look at, but it's one of those guys that is a boom or bust potential. I think honestly he's going to go in the 3rd round, maybe even 2nd if someone takes a real big shot on him. But he's going to be one of those guys. Started 15 games for Old Dominion. He was injured last year in the 5th game. He looked pretty good in the first 5 games, but the 5th game of the season he got injured. The year before, it was kind of his breakout year. He had like 700 yards and some touchdowns, and I think he had 73 receptions. So he did pretty well the year before that. He's also, I think he's 23-ish, something along those lines, 24. I believe he's. I think he's 23. But he is going to be one of those boomer bust potential type of players because, again, he was at Penn State. And what could be crazy if you really look at this guy, if you get him in the 3rd round, is that, honestly, he was at Penn State first. And the one problem that he had is just he was 6'7", but he wasn't putting enough weight on each year. So he couldn't get on the field because he was too small. He started out at I think it was 220 or something like that. For a 6'7" guy is not that big. And each year he kept putting on weight. And now he's at 255 NFL ready. You put 10 more pounds on him and you get his technique down because his route running is good. You see the burst. You see the catching ability. If you put 10 more pounds on this guy, get him to the point where his mindset is good and he has the body to fill out in the NFL, you could be getting one of the best tight ends in the NFL with this guy. But you could also be getting a 3rd round pick that, you keep stashed for a long time and, maybe never turns into anything. But like I said, why everybody's so high on Zach Kuntz is just because you might be getting a superstar, diamond in the rough, for a 3rd round pick. It's crazy what he can do. And if you get the right coaching staff, I think Zach Kuntz could maybe turn out to be the best tight end in this whole class. Number 5 for me is going to be one of my favorites as well in this class. It's going to be Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State. And what I can say with this guy is he's going to be, I think, with the Brenton Strange comparison of being physical, he's going to be just as physical, if not more physical, than Brenton Strange. His catching, sometimes he drops some passes, so that's something to look after. You might have to take some of the times where he just drops a pass, or you could be getting a good coach and that could all go away. He could be a great pass catcher. But really what we're looking at here too with this guy is when you get the ball in his hands, he is going to dump someone into the dirt. He's going to throw them away. He's going to toss them to the side. He's going to be the guy that, his athleticism is not crazy, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to put someone's face in the dirt. That is, his stiff arm is great. He's going to run into you. He's going to truck you. He's going to do whatever it takes to get past you. And it's going to be just really tough to bring him down at the next level. His route running, it's a little suspect at times. So, if you get somebody that can teach him how to cut and do all these things better, that would be great. He's a great run blocker. Like I said, very physical. He's going to try to knock you over. So he's going to be a great run blocker. And his catching is pretty decent. It could use work. Like I said, there are some drops, but, for the most part, he can catch the ball pretty well. Like I said, hard to tackle. Guy is just going to be one of those guys that you're not going to want to tackle him. He's a big guy that can have a little bit of athleticism and is just going to want to hurt you. And that is translatable to the next level. And like I said, he's going to do everything that you want him to do. Run block, pass block. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he's just going to take 3 defenders with him, and it's just going to be fun to watch him at the next level. Like I said, he's not going to be the most athletic here, but he's probably one of the most angriest when it gets to running the ball or getting the ball in his hands. And I'm telling you, I'm one of those guys. I love that. When you're refusing to go down as a football player, it's just awesome to watch something like that. Now, number 4, we are going to have Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave is another one of those guys that he's great route runner. You know, he's pretty good, and he could be another one as like Zach Kuntz that could be one of the better ones in this draft class. He can get the big vertical passes. He's pretty decent at route running, and he's pretty decent at run blocking too. Just all the things for him is just more so he needs a little more polish on everything. He just needs to get a little bit better at route running. Sometimes the drops happen with him, but I think that can be fixed at the next level. He's bigger too, so he's going to be one of those guys. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". So he's a bigger tight end. He needs a little bit more polish at run blocking and things of that sort, but he is a willing run blocker, and he is physical, so he will run block. You know, the catch radius sometimes, you know, if it's outside of his catch radius, it's sometimes a little bit harder for him to get it. He's not going to be one of those guys that'll make, you know, the outside diving catches, but the top heavy vertical passes and you know, things of that sort where you can go out for a post or a corner, he's going to be good at those, and he's going to be a really good catcher. You know, like I said, there are sometimes where he drops the ball, but for the most part, he is a really good pass catching tight end that if you can mold him, like I said, just like Zach Kuntz, he can be one of the better tight ends in this draft. He can turn into one of the most complete players. You just got to mold him into what you want. But yeah, like I said, he needs a little more technique on every single aspect, just the run blocking, the route running, the catching. But if you polish him up, he can be very, very good at the next level. I think he's going to be no later than a second round, possibly, maybe not, fringe third rounder. All right. Now we are going to get into our top 3. The top 3. Number 3, who I have, and I think a lot of people have him here too, is Darnell Washington, just based upon the fact that the dude is a freak. He is huge, 6'7", 270 something. I mean, just a big old man. You see it on tape. You see it when he plays. He just looks bigger than everybody else on the field. And it translates, you know, he is one of those guys I think everybody that discusses Darnell Washington, you know, you're going to be getting a guy that is blocking heavy. Like, you just have basically a 7th offensive lineman on the field, 6th offensive lineman. You're going to be getting a guy that can block you because just simply by the fact that he's more physical and he's bigger than you. So he's going to be able to block incredibly well. Probably, you know, I think he more so blocks at this point just because based on his size, so he needs a little more technique when it comes to blocking because he just beats people blocking wise just based on the fact that he's bigger than you. So, you know, at the next level, we'll see what he does, and I think you need to, you know, polish him up a little bit. You're not going to be getting a super athletic dude. You know, I think for the most part his route running and, you know, the catching and all that, they're pretty average. They're not going to be that great. You know, he needs a lot of work in route running, and the run after the catch, I think at the NFL level might be a little bit less than he had in college just based on the fact that everybody's bigger, so people are going to be able to take him down a little bit easier. Not easy. It's not going to be easy to bring him down, but people are going to bring him down somewhat better at the next level. But again, you're getting a really good blocking tight end that is a huge vertical threat and a huge red zone threat just based on the fact, I mean, I think he runs a 4.6, so he's pretty decently fast for a tight end. And when you get in the end zone, I mean, he's going to be taller than everybody that can cover in the end zone. So you're going to get a huge red zone threat where you can just probably throw the ball up to him and maybe half the time he comes down with it. So again, you know what you're getting with him. And if you polish him, you know, you can be getting somebody that is a very, very good tight end, a very unique guy in this league. All right, number 2. This is where everybody gets, you know, tossed back and forth. So my number 2 is going to be Dalton Kincaid, and I'll tell you why. So Dalton Kincaid is a incredible tight end. But I'm more so one of the guys that still believes that when you have a tight end, you need to have someone that can run block. So Dalton Kincaid, you're going to be getting probably the best pass catching tight end in this draft class, and probably for a couple draft classes. He's going to be one of the best vertical threat tight ends that you'll get in this draft or in multiple others. I mean, the guy has clean routes, smooth routes. His hands are just easy. It's just he is one of the best pass catching tight ends I've seen. He's gonna be more athletically gifted than anybody in this class, and like I said, route running, all that stuff is incredible. His hands are amazing. He makes the contested catches. He makes the vertical catches. He's very good at the point of attack when it comes to catching the ball. Guy's just an athletic freak. Great pass catching tight end. But for me, the run blocking is what needs to work. He's not a great blocker. He's not as physical as some of the other tight ends in this class. And that's what's going to make him number 2 for me. I still think you're going to be getting such an amazing weapon when you get this guy. But honestly, for me, I still think that with the tight ends, you need to have a guy that is going to be able to block so that you can disguise him, so that that you're not sure what you're going to be doing with that person on the field. Whereas when you have a player like this, you have him out there, most of the time you're going to be knowing that they're passing the ball. 60-70% of the time, when he's out there, they're passing. So if he can start learning how to run block pretty decently, I'm a Dolphins fan, so we had Mike Gesicki. I'm telling you, Dalton Kincaid is 20 times better than Mike Gesicki. But when you have a guy like that, you can't disguise much. So, it starts hurting you when you can't be on the field just based on they need to take you out because they're running. And then, of course, it translates either way, because then when you're not putting him in, you have such a stud that's a pass catcher and you're not putting him in, it shows that you're probably running. So it's just one of those things for me that I just think as a tight end, you need to be able to run block. You need to be able to do that. And that's what translates to the next level, because the defense are getting so fast and so good that you need to be able to be disguised. You can't just be the guy that everybody knows is trying to pass catch, because this is the next level. NFL is where they can scheme against that. Number 1, Michael Mayer. Yep, I'm going to tell you, like I said, I think when you're picking the number 1 tight end or the number 1 any prospect for any position, you need to be the most well-rounded. Now, I think Michael Mayer is going to be second to Dalton on the pass catching, but I think we all had Michael Mayer as number 1 before the combine. And of course, Michael Mayer didn't showcase that he's the most athletic tight end in this class, but when you watch this guy on tape, you're going to see the guy that is smart. He can run routes pretty well. He is very sure-handed, and he is probably one of the better run blockers in this class. And on top of all of that, this is why I compare him to Jason Witten. I think a lot of people do. It's just he's that safety blanket. You can just throw to him and he's going to catch it. Wherever it is. He's just going to be that second quarterback on the field. He's incredibly intelligent and knows where to run his routes. He knows how to disguise himself. And like I said, he is not crazy athletic, but he's going to be athletic enough to do everything that you need him to do. He's going to be the most complete, I think, just based on the fact that when you watch him on film, sometimes you just want that I think, again, a lot of people, they want the crazy athletic freak, but sometimes you can't do certain things with that guy. So when you have a Michael Mayer, you just have a guy that is, kind of... he's Jason Witten-like. I think you can also compare him to like a Dalton Schultz, somebody like that, where it's like you can just keep throwing in the ball, and he's probably going to be on a team that ends up just throwing the ball like 6-7 times a game, and he just is going to be that thing that the quarterback just looks to get the ball out of his hands, and I think he's just going to be that really, really solid. What I can say too is the upside for some of the other tight ends is probably going to be bigger than his, but with Michael Mayer, you are getting a day 1 starter that is going to be able to make your quarterback feel more at ease, because he can just get the ball to him and let him do his thing. He's going to be physical. He can run block. He can be disguised. He can route run. He can catch the ball. He's very smart to know where to go inside of the zones. And he's just going to be a great all-around tight end. I think, again, in this class, I think he's going to be the best one that you get. And he's going to be my number 1 prospect. All right, everybody. Like I said, I hope you like this. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, become a part of the QBA family. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments. I was doing a lot of research on this. It took me a while to do this, but I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to be doing another one next week, all the way leading up to the draft. I want to get some of these prospects done, and or more so, some of the ones for the Miami Dolphins that I think we would be targeting, more so the positions of need in that. But yeah, as I always say, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up. Peace.